I think we've had two wonderful speakers, and it's been quite an eye-opening talk for me as well, and I'm sure you all have enjoyed it also. So today, of course, firstly, I want to thank the organizers and Dr. Anand for inviting me over and giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts and uh, be able to give you a message. Today, really, I mean, despite all the projects that we are all doing, and it's always a pleasure to share what we do in terms of projects. But I just thought of taking you on another trip and to share with you something that's been a passion with me for long, apart from my practice, and that has been really going around uh, in spare time or just like that and exploring places and places of heritage or just sometimes what's around you. And I've always run into wonderful things. So right from childhood, my I've always been attracted to forts somehow. One of the reasons was, of course, when I was a child, we used to spend our holidays in the city of Gwalior, which is in the northern part of Madhya Pradesh. And there's a very famous fort over there called the Gwalior Fort, which was also the fort under the Marathas and under the Rani of Jhansi for some time. And every time we went there, it was my mother's hometown. My mama used to live there, and we would go on a picnic to this fort. And I've got very vivid memories of the place, and thereafter, I've always loved forts. And of course, after becoming an architect, it all fell in place that, why the love for forts and on it went. So, forts are, of course, a very important part of our heritage, and much of it is really lost. I mean, we all know that there are so many forts. There's not a place or a state in India where there is no fort. We have a fort in Bangalore, and you see so many forts around. You might have, all of us have, I'm sure, been to Tirupati for darshan. And whether we travel from Bangalore or from Chennai or from anywhere, we finally land up there, we have darshan and go back happy. But maybe few of us have observed, and many of us may not know, that there's a beautiful Chandragiri fort right at the foothills, a little before Tirupati, which is worth a visit. I would say to us architects, it's as important to visit that as having a darshan. So one of the things sorry. Yeah. So the case what I'm going to discuss with you today is that of the Malkhed Fort in Karnataka. Now, why did I take this fort? Is that this is really a forgotten fort. Nobody knows about it. It just happened that during one of my travels through interior Karnataka, and when I was passing from Gulbarga, that I happened to notice a very dilapidated structure in distance from the highway. And I just veered from the highway just to see what it was. And it turned out to be this Malkhed Fort in a small town of Malkhed. Now, the reason I stopped by over here was just out of interest, and then so many things came to light that I just couldn't hold myself back from really exploring it all. Of course, forts have been the crucible of history. In India's rich history, culture, nothing expresses its struggles, its journey through time, the modification to civilizations, dynasties, rulers, as much as its forts. It's central to the Indian saga. We, I think, have learned about urbanization, we have learned about towns and cities, but never have any chapters of Indian history devoted themselves completely to forts. And this is one message I wish to share with you, that all of us must really go out and learn about forts, because they tell you about history as nothing else does. Uh, Architecturally, the fort was always a transition between a town and a garrison, so to say, a military base. It was always a seat of power and displays the architecture of warfare. And India has historically been a land of kings and queens and forts and kingdoms. So a fort has been a very central to its history. So although temple architecture is highly rated and sought after, and all of us and everyone make their way to the temples get looked after well, there are a lot of facilities around, one is able to visit. One is hardly able to visit many of the forts. except the ones that now fall within the precincts of urban cities. So the architecture of fort is an important aiding element to the warfare that was prevalent in the country. So of course, some of the forts were merely constructed for defense. Some massive fortresses were also built for display of power and authority. So it had it all. The forts decided the fate of kingdoms, of towns, of people, of civilizations, and was always the seat of power and also of glory. So, forts are an age-old architectural typology. They are even rooted in the Vedas. So, we have Manu, the celebrated Hindu lawgiver, saying that a warrior protected by the fort can fight 100 enemy soldiers, while 100 soldiers fighting from a fort can encounter an entire force of 10,000. So, and you actually see these stories happening when you think of the great kings. For example, the great Maratha emperor, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, who had conquered close to 360 forts all over India, and the empire stretched from Tanjore in the south to almost Panipat in the north. So that was the stretch of the kingdom. So imagine the number of forts that were controlled by him in a time when there were no phones, there were no mobile phones, there was nothing. And imagine running an empire like this. How do you know what's happening in south? How do you know what's happening in north? How do you know who's doing what? And to be holding on to a kingdom for 42 years is, I think, nothing less than a marvelous miracle of history. So, of course, and you also have the sea forts under the Maratha kingdom. Totally, yes, 336 forts totally. So you have the Janjira fort in Murud in Maharashtra, the Sindhudurg fort, all of which are sea island forts. And these forts helped the Maratha emperor Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj to create a navy of his own. That was the first time, I think, any Indian emperor had a navy of its own. And it was pretty recent. There were battles waged between the British and the Maratha navy. And the Maratha navy was a very minuscule navy, whereas the British had great ships, and yet they won battles with them. So imagine the acumen, the skill of war, and the importance of the fort, the strategic locations, and so on. Similarly, you have the Sinhagad fort in Maharashtra, Pune, which was again a very important fort, and Shivaji Maharaj had lost one of its very able soldiers over there by name Tanaji Malusare. So, you know, every fort not only has a huge, beautiful history behind it, but there are many stories linked with the fort. And that is what makes it very interesting to the combination of the fort as architecture and what it did. And like some time back, Kavi mentioned, you know, that architecture or anything when it's at its very basic logic is beautiful. So I really like to use that phrase towards the forts. You know, it's so basic. There's no frills, like he said. There's really no fenestration anywhere. It's so basic, so strategic, and that's what makes it so beautiful. I mean, you can keep staring at a fort from a distance, and you'll just be spellbound by it. So this is another one of the sea forts that you see, and they are really worth visiting. If you do happen to visit the Konkan coast, that means the coast south of Bombay, right up to Mangalore, you have these sea forts even in around Mangalore. You had this Queen Abakka. I don't know how many of you all know the story of Queen Abakka, who drove the Portuguese out of Mangalore. She didn't allow them to capture Mangalore. The Portuguese were continuously attacking her, and she repelled their attacks about 14 times, and she had to be sort of captured by deceit. That's when Mangalore fell to the Portuguese. So you see how important the architecture of the fort played a role in security and defense of the towns around it. This is the Gwalior fort, one of my very favorite forts. And the architecture of the fort, though very different from one another, because they are strategically located. All the forts are located atop hills or in very strategically located. But surprisingly, there are many similarities. The way one goes through and enters the fort, the way one is deceived into the entry, how to give the enemy a twist, a run, not allow the enemy to enter and yet dominate him. So if you conquer a fort, you've conquered the town, you've conquered the kingdom, and that was the importance of the seat of power. And so this was one of the very major forts. If any one of you can go here, you'll really enjoy it. It's not something you can see in one day. You'll at least need to go there about 2-3 times and stay there maybe. So the Malkhed fort, like I said, was really a discovery to me. Uh, so many of our majestic such forts have been really relegated to a complete neglect and apathy. And of course, we are very quick to blame the government, and most of the time we're not wrong in it. But here I think we need to blame ourselves also, because we've been running to the temples, not to the forts. If we, let us say, just let us imagine that for a while that we went only to the forts, don't you think that the forts would become much more approachable, that the government would do something much more to the forts so that people would enjoy it more? So I think we have ourselves to blame about it also. So this was just by chance I happened to discover it, and I went inside, and it was a wonderful place. It is located exactly in the Sidam Taluk in Gulbarga district. So I was really struck by its beauty, and I said, we must do something about it. It's not enough to just take photograph pictures, selfies, and go home and then put them up on your wall. So what I did was I made a study of this. Of course, I took a lot of photographs and decided to go to the tourism department with some proposals, what I had in mind. I said, this must be brought on the tourist map. So when I approached them, they were quite happy that somebody is doing this, but they didn't know why I was doing it. I mean, they thought I was a fool, who has called you. But surprisingly, after about 2 visits to them and meeting a few people, they did give me some good response. They said, okay, so you give us a proposal, what can be done with it? What is your idea? So I said, my idea is to bring this on your tourist map so that it's very visible. Of course, the tourism department was aware of it. The Archaeological Survey of India is aware of it. The people in the town of Malkhed, which is right around the fort, are aware of it, but no one else is aware of it. And it is so distantly located that if you have to reach this fort, you have to catch a bus from Gulbarga, get down about 3 kilometers and walk to this place. Otherwise, you can't get there, if you're traveling by bus. If you happen to go by road, by car, you'll probably be able to reach there. So we made a little presentation to them after visiting. We said that what we discovered was that, so this is the location of the fort. It's on the river Kagina. There's a river Kagina right behind the fort, and the town of Malkhed is surrounds the fort. It is approachable from Gulbarga, Sedam, and this belt is very rich in cement, in limestone mines, because there are about 4 cement factories. One is Ultratech Cement, and other is ACC Cement, and so on. So, and this fort has a history of more than 1,000 years, and it's a highly potential area with a lot of resources. And what I discovered was that it was ruled by alternately by the Hindu kings. Then there was a time when the Jain kings